Welcome back, everybody. Um, let's open with a prayer. Lord, as we come before you this second hour, we ask for a continual blessing upon us. Help us to be able to have a clearer picture of what you want from us, what your kingdom and your character looks like. That's in the end where what we're heading to have this better understanding of you and your kingdom. Because we look at all those earthly kingdoms to see how it should operate, um, to then fully and more and better understand how it should operate and how your kingdom should operate. You're in you're looking for a people for setting up of a new kingdom on the new earth where there is rulership as well, where there is this head as well, and a woman with an ideology. And I pray, Lord, that we all understand what this ideology will be, what it is, and that we will have a better understanding of what it is. And that these studies, also this second hour, helps us to, to have a better understanding of your character. I pray this all in Jesus' name. Amen. So welcome back. Um, we were a little cut short in the first hour. So perhaps um, look back a little bit of what we discussed and then continue our discussion with a nice dialogue. So whiteboard isn't full, so full as other times perhaps. So the primary thing that I've focused on so far, and the primary point that I wanted to make so far, is that when you look at Revelation 17 and stay within Revelation 17, you see that there is something different with the sixth kingdom. We can go to other chapters as well, as I shortly tried to do in verse 13, when you look at the lamb-like beast, that there's this confirmation that the sixth kingdom is a special kingdom. And when you stay in 17, you see it is special because there's not this beast. The beast is dead, but there is a head. So if that is true, and that's what we're saying, that would mean the logical consequence is that you would see the head as a good thing, because that's the only thing that the sixth kingdom has. The head is this thing that all the kingdoms have, because there are seven heads. All the kingdoms have them, but the sixth is the one where the head is the only thing. There's not this beast element connected to it. So the head is a good thing, and the woman wants to ride it, because there's the third entity, the woman. So we say the woman is an entity with an ideology. It has an ideology, it has ideas, but it lacks something. It doesn't have power. So it's nice that you have an ideology, but she wants to push it. She wants to push that ideology to the rest of the world or to other people. And you need to have a position to do that. You need to have a certain position with power to to demonstrate and share that ideology with others. So she is looking for heads. She's going after heads, and heads in these stories are kings, and there are kingdoms. So there's kingdoms, and she wants to ride and control those kingdoms. So she's quite successful in that. Many kingdoms she rides heads, And so what we oh yeah, I wanted to continue the study, but I didn't finish my review. So so we looked at those verses. We say there is a head, there's not a beast. Then we put that on a line to make it more visible and say like, well, there's actually seven heads. All those kingdoms have a head. All those kingdoms are actually good in its way. Um, The problem is there's two or three verses in Revelation 17 that tell you otherwise, or that you could interpret as saying, well, actually, all the kingdoms are controlled by this bad woman, or all the kingdoms are evil, and the sixth isn't that special, or because this woman rides seven heads, or the woman rides the beast. It's this panoramic view that I called it. So you have this verse that gives you, in a nutshell, the beginning and the end, and everything in between is the same panoramic view. While when you go into depth, you go into a certain dispensation, it may look a little different. But panoramic view is this view in the Bible, and you see it, I wanted to say quite often, but you see it several times. It's not just here, where the Bible gives you a perspective that is, I would argue, not completely true. On detail wise, it's not completely true, but it just gives you like the perspectives. The woman rides the beast. The woman rides the heads. Period. Then when you go and zoom in and you look into a dispensation, you will see different story. That there are times where the woman doesn't ride the head. The woman wants to ride the head, definitely, but there is a time period, here at least, where the woman doesn't ride the head. Um,
Arian,
yeah, sure.
I'm wondering if we can say then that when we're looking at the panoramic view, we cannot see the differences.
Yeah, yeah, yes, we cannot see it. That's the whole point of panoramic. It's um and that's also not the purpose of the panoramic view, to see the difference, because that's what you're going to do in dispensational view. If you zoom in more and you look to the differences between certain time periods or certain events or certain waymarks, where you mm, you do panoramic mode, you see everything the same way. It tells you one perspective. The woman rides heads, period. Then when you zoom in, it's like, yeah, woman actually rides heads. That's what she wants. That's where her desire is. But there is a time period where she is not successful, where she doesn't. But you can't see that in panoramic view. Um, so this is where we ended. Um, so I wanted to continue to continue here. So let's say let's call this part two. Um, so 1 second. So this woman, this woman has an idea, has ideas, but it doesn't have power. It doesn't have the ability to do something with that idea, to push it upon other people. So it needs a position, it needs a throne, it needs a position, it needs power that is outside of herself. So she needs another entity or she needs an institution with power to fulfill her wishes. So there here is the here's the throne. Oh, here's the seat. And this seat is has power. It actually has power. Um, and there are 7 of those seats. So you can call it Babylon. Babylon has a seat, the throne. This is where a king takes place. And this throne is designed, the purpose of the throne is to protect the people, to be there to serve the people, people that live in a certain area, in a certain geography, where this seat has control over. There is a certain geography, and the people that live in that certain geography uh, are protected by that seat. If there's another military power entering that geography, the seat will send an army to protect the people. So this seat is there to protect the people and to serve the people. It's a good seat. It's a good thing. So I'm saying this is a head. This is a head. This is the head. If this is Babylon, this is the first head. The first head of Babylon. This is where the power is. Oh, so uh, this is where the power is. And the woman, she sees that seat and she thinks like, oh, I want to have, I want to have that seat. I want to have that power because I have certain ideas and I want to roll them out. I want to put them into the world. And this is the only seat that can do that. This is the only institution that can do what I want. So she's going to influence this seat and going to control it. The head, no, this seat is a good thing, but something takes control over that seat, which makes it bad. So if we look to Babylon, let's go to Daniel. So we have Nebuchadnezzar. So Nebuchadnezzar is this king, a king that sits on the seat. And Nebuchadnezzar is a good king. If you look at Daniel 2, um, I would say it's a good king. It it is humbled by the dream that it has and the explanation Daniel gives, and it's humbled by it because it recognizes that his kingdom is not for eternity, that there is other kingdoms following it, and he is humbled by it. But then Daniel 3 comes and Nebuchadnezzar changes. So you have Nebuchadnezzar 1, and I would say you have a Nebuchadnezzar 2. And Nebuchadnezzar 2 is a bad king because now he says he built this golden statue and so like everybody bows down to this statue. I am the king and this nation, this country, and I will reign for eternity. And you're going to bow down for me and you're going to say amen to this. And he becomes a self-serving king. He's going to now serve his own ideas and his own wishes, and not be. He was humbled here in the beginning. He was a humble, good king, and he becomes a bad king in Daniel 3. That's just an example of how I see the story of Babylon, for example, in turning from a good institution. So you have a seat. Nebuchadnezzar is a good king. He's a good woman, I would even say. So we haven't discussed the good and the bad woman, but I would say there's this good woman because the seat in itself doesn't have an ideology. It's an institution, and once it's designed to serve people, but it's also designed to do everything that the one that is taking control of that seat, the seat is going to do. So if there's a good king, the seat does good things. If there is a bad king, the seat does bad things because this seat is designed to embrace the person that sits on it and does everything the purpose. Sorry, it does everything what the person that sits on the throne wants to do. So Nebuchadnezzar I was a good woman influencing this powerful position, and Nebuchadnezzar II was a bad woman. So the same element we see in the fifth kingdom, where we see this good element and bad element of the iron and the clay. So we see iron and we see clay. There's this in the fifth kingdom. We see this twofold element within the same kingdom. Um, and then we have this sixth kingdom. Wait a minute, have I finished this? Okay, so maybe I go too fast when I do this, but I'll. So when I say there is this head, there's a seat, and there's this good woman sitting on it. Then you have this same seat, and now a bad woman sits on that throne. And this as a whole is the beast. Oh, so a woman, so a beast is always the combination of woman and head. So this is perhaps a little difficult to to illustrate because the parable in Revelation 17 places a woman on a beast. And I'm saying here the woman on the head is a beast. What I want to say by this is that a woman only rides beasts. So it wants to ride heads, but as soon as the bad woman rides a head, it turns into a beast, if you understand what I mean. So I'll illustrate that
I have a question,
later. Yeah,
Arjan.
sure. Yeah.
Uh, Revelation 17, it says there's one beast, and we've been told there's one beast. But when you, if you go back and to your line where you draw it all out, and missing number 6, and that it seems to me that is a separate beast for each kingdom because there's a separate ideology for each kingdom. And I'm not sure how to resolve that.
Sure. Okay. So no, there's Yes, the parable says there's one beast. True. And the beast has seven heads. So
I think
um,
I think the
sorry.
problem is that we're mixing panoramic and dispensational view. When there's one beast, it's panoramic. When there's six beasts, it's dispensational. And if we mix the two, then we get confused.
Yeah, good point. Um, yes, that's. Um, I think you have a good point there. Is that the beast is there all the time in Revelation 17. So you have a beast from the beginning all the way to the end. Um, but this beast is only there. This beast is there together with the woman. This is how it is illustrated. The woman rides the beast. This is the combination. This is the combination that is demonstrated in Revelation 17, and you see them together in time, from the beginning, from Babylon, all the way to demonstrated in those different kingdoms. This is panoramic view, yes, and those different kingdoms are demonstrated by the seven heads. So you have head one. Oh no, etc. Um, so the woman, so the woman riding the beast is, I think I'm not sure who it was who said it before. Is this panoramic view? The woman rides the beast. That is panoramic view for the woman has control and has power and influences the kings. If you go and look and zoom in, you see that there's actually several time periods in history where she does that in different subtle ways. Like in Babylon, it was a different person or in a different way than it was in 538 or as it is today. Um, so that's why there's those distinct seven heads, because there's seven distinct kingdoms. But if you zoom out, there's just a beast and a woman, period. Um, so where did I go? Oh, so we have a good seed. We have a woman that wants to have that power. And as soon as the woman writes that seed, we see this picture. This is the picture we see then. The woman riding the beast. It has control. It controlled the head. It controlled what she wants because she wants the power. She wants the kings. She wants to control the kings. That's the whole purpose of Revelation 17, or the whole thing that is demonstrated in Revelation 17. It's a power struggle. Who controls those kings? And the woman wants to control those kings. And that's demonstrated by a woman riding a beast. As soon as this woman rides, has the power, has access to this power, this is the same as equal to woman riding beast. So we have a woman has ideas. The seed, the head, has power. When they're combined together, we'll see the beast. It's a beast. We see the woman riding a beast. If the woman doesn't ride the beast, that's a revelation. That's the sixth kingdom. If the woman does not ride the beast, the only thing that is left is a head. So the sixth, no beast, means no woman. But there is a head. So from 1798, we see, I'm going to call it, we see good kingdom. Good king. All the way to the close of probation, this line. So then there is this transition point somewhere where this good king ends. So I'm going to call it a lamb for the sake of this line. So it's a lamb here in 1798, and it continues to be a lamb until the end, because the sixth kingdom, during the sixth kingdom, the beast is dead. Or in other words, the woman does not have control over that seed. The woman does not have the power. So what makes the sixth kingdom good compared to those other kingdoms? It's not the head, because all those kingdoms have a head. Or maybe it is the head. In 1798, we see this nation rise, 1798. And a political system is set up. Oh, I actually did it already here, of course. So we see this let me see. So here in this time period before 1798, people are setting up a nation. They flee from Europe. They say, we don't want to be part of this monarch, this British monarch. We don't want to have a pope ruling over us. We don't want to have these elite kings ruling over us that only serve their own interest and not the people's interest. We want to rule ourselves. So they're setting up a system where the people can can rule themselves. So they set up a throne here in 1798. They set up a throne that is different than all those other thrones in Europe, because there's all monarchies, and the monarchs are elite. Only the people that are born in the right family can sit on the throne, and the people are sick of it, and they say like, no, we want to rule ourselves, we want to govern ourselves. So they're setting up a throne, and those pilgrims that flee to America, they are the ones that are going to sit on that throne. They're going to do it themselves. And they call it the presidency. So it's going to be a president. The people are going to rule themselves. It's this element of this seat is there. What's it called? For the people, from the people, of the people. Um, so you see that set up in 1798, and this seat is restrained. It is a restrained seat. It's like I said before. There's these checks and balances. Um, um, the executive power isn't so powerful as the throne of the King of England. He can do whatever he wants. He can decide to do this or to do that. And the President of America in the 1798 isn't so powerful as the thrones before. So as the kings of Europe have kicked out the woman, they said, we don't want to be associated with the papal woman. We want to be, the woman is going to look for another throne. She's going to look after America. But America hasn't such an interesting throne. It's not what she wants. So as I think it was Annabelle said, she's going on a holiday. She's like, well, you know what? I'll come back later and check this out. And she's not interested in this seed. So this is a lamb-like beast. It is a lamb in a way that this kingdom cannot and doesn't want to turn into a bad direction. And that means it doesn't want to become a kingdom as those other five before, because all those heads of the five kingdoms before, they were good, they were fine, but they were always misused by the rulers that sat on the thrones. In the end, they started to serve themselves and not the people. And here they set up a system that protected this seed. It was protected against misuse. So it was always used appropriately, which makes it a lamb-like beast, which makes it a good kingdom, because it is here all the time to serve the people. Well, then time flies, time goes by, things happen. And I think that it was Elder Parminder recently in one of his recent studies alluded to this, that things happen, time and chance. You have 9/11, you have wars, you have COVID, you have Ukraine, you have certain things happening in America or in the world where the president or even Congress say, we need to give the president a little bit more power to protect the people, or to be able to do this, or to be able to do that. Especially after 9/11, I think was an important moment where the president got a lot more power. And COVID was another example, and I think even Biden in the Ukraine time period, but also before in the Reagan time and the Bush time period, you see that there is this maybe small baby steps, but small baby steps become bigger steps, and in the end, you come to a point where you look at that throne and you look back to 1798 and you say, hey, those two thrones are completely different thrones. They're not the same thing anymore. And this is where the sixth turns into the seventh. So this is very abstract as I describe it here, but at this until this point, at this point I want to keep it as abstract as I do it right now. Is that the sixth kingdom is good because it has a seed that I would say cannot do bad things, but also doesn't want to do bad things. But as time and chance and time goes by, certain things happening in the world and in America, that this seed starts to change. It receives more power. It becomes more powerful, and we come to a point here where this sixth kingdom stops, and it now continues, or now we see the beginning of the seventh kingdom. And the seventh kingdom is a different kingdom. It's not the sixth kingdom, it's a different kingdom. It's not an upgraded or a downgraded sixth kingdom. And the seventh kingdom we should see as a in these studies we see as a different kingdom. But the sixth kingdom, the seventh kingdom, the only thing that differs, the seventh kingdom only is different from the sixth because of what the throne looks like, the amount of power that the throne has. This throne itself is still a good instrument. So I'm suggesting here this seventh kingdom is still a lamb. Here. The only difference is that this throne has more power, significantly more power than the sixth kingdom. The intention was of the sixth kingdom. So the seventh kingdom starts off fine, good. And then you come to a point where it becomes the dragon. Now it starts to, you have this seed here. And this seed has a lot of power, way more than the seed here in the beginning. Yet this seed here was restrained. You see this here? It was restrained. This seed here, just to make it black and white and simplified, this seed here is unrestrained. It has way more power. Doesn't make it a bad seed. It's still there to serve the people. The only problem is that when no, let me say it this way. The only problem is now that the bad woman is very interested in this seed. So as soon as this seed is there, the bad woman starts to be interested. So I'm saying, no, let me do it this way. So now the bad woman starts to look. Starts to look to the seed. It's like, hey, I think I'm interested in this seed. I want this seed. This is the seed that I actually wanted all the time. But it doesn't really have access to that seed yet. But it's going to watch. It's going to watch, and it's going to attempt to get access to that seed. And oh yeah.
I hate to interrupt you again. Should I wait?
No.
till the
No,
end?
go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm just wondering, um, when the sixth kingdom becomes the seventh kingdom,
Mhm.
is there, how do we know that, what is the marker that the seventh kingdom has begun? I've heard one reason that, that Trump being the last president of the Sixth Kingdom study, but is there anything else?
Um, yeah, you have the marker of so oh, so if I do this, no. So yes, one of the things that the thing that you mentioned. So you have the last president, the last president study, the last president of the Sixth Kingdom. Um, Another one I would say is agitation of the Sunday law is where we can see there is a point where we can see, oh wait, here there's a turning point here. Something has changed. The next thing is going to happen is Sunday law. There's an agitation of the Sunday law. So the Sunday law is going to agitate it in something has changed in society, something has changed in America that agitates the Sunday law. And I think the agitation is the marker for this as well, which leads you to the Sunday law.
Yes, good, thank you.
Um, yeah. So the point that I wanted to make here is that kingdoms are good institutions, but they can be used by bad entities. So the seventh kingdom is not a bad kingdom. It's a good kingdom. But it becomes bad when it is used by a bad entity. So what we say here, when the agitation starts, when the sixth turns flips over into the seventh kingdom. So when the sixth kingdom stops, to say it simply, and now the seventh kingdom starts, um, it's not because the sixth kingdom passes a Sunday law, for example. The sixth kingdom never passes a Sunday law. The sixth kingdom never rights the bad woman. So the sixth kingdom will never pass the Sunday law. That's something the seventh kingdom does. So the flipping from the sixth to the seventh isn't not the Sunday law. It's something to understand what the change from six to seven is. We need to go back to 1798 and understand what is the sixth kingdom actually. And that's what I try to explain here in simple language is this story of the seed. They created a seed that was different from the seeds before. It was a restrained seed, a seed that when you sit on it, you cannot misuse it. You cannot use it to serve yourself because you will be restrained by other institutions or by the law, basically. Um, and all those other seats before, those seats were above the law. They were the law, and you could write law and decide for yourself what law was. And here it was a little bit more complicated. You were part of the law. Um, so when you sit on this seat here, you can't serve yourself because the law will protect you from doing it. Other institutions will protect this seat. So that's what makes the Sixth Kingdom different from all the others in the past. And that's also what we should look for when we say, like, okay, what's the end of the Sixth Kingdom? It's to do away with what it had in the beginning. So it had a restrained seat, a seat that was um, a seat that doesn't have so much power or less power. So what marks the end of the Sixth Kingdom? It has a seat with much power. You can see that logic? So if the Sixth Kingdom is the marks, if the beginning of the Sixth Kingdom is marked by a seat with less power, then the end of the Sixth Kingdom is marked as a kingdom with a seat with a lot of power. And that's what we do. So the Sixth Kingdom ends only because the presidential seat or the kingdom, the power is unrestrained, or at least has come to a certain level where when you look back to 1798, you see that there is a significant difference. And I guess you could even say you reach the point of no return. Um,
Aryan, is that when basically the woman becomes attracted to that far more powerful and its unrestrained power of that sixth kingdom because that shift had taken effect?
because that shift has taken effect, the woman now becomes interested in that seat. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. So as soon as that shift takes place here, at this point, now the woman realizes, wait a minute, that becomes an interesting seat now. I think I want to ride that seat. I want to have that power. Oh, there was a cat jumping over my laptop. Sorry. Um, I want to have that. I want to have that power. So in this time period, now the woman is going to realize this seat is what I want, and I want to have access to that power because this power is unrestrained. Um, so this is what the agitation of the Sunday law, which is part of the agitation of the Sunday law. So I'm saying this here is the Sunday law. At the Sunday law, fornication takes place. So we have the woman, the bad woman, and she wants to fornicate, or we haven't talked about fornication and adultery in our study here, but she wants to fornicate with this seed. It's illegal because this seed is actually given to someone, to another woman, to a good woman, you could argue. And she said, actually, I want to have access to this throne. Um, but the throne doesn't, at this point, the throne doesn't realize that. Um, so Sunday law, meow, okay, good. So Sunday law, we say this is 18th of July, 24. So what happened 18th July 24? 18th July 24, the 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 way to the throne was opened up for the presidential candidates. Or in July 18, it was the Republican presidential candidate, which was Donald Trump. So Donald Trump, until before July 18, was just a person with an ideology, wanted to have access to that seat, but it was not um, it was not official
Confirmed.
because it was not confirmed. Um, he was just a person interested in that seat, but there was nothing official. It got official on 18th of July. He became officially the candidate for that seat. And that's the point where the seat, because that's how the rules and the laws work in America, is that you have the primaries, you have those primary elections, and then there's this one candidate, and this one candidate is going to be running for president. So when this is only what the seat looks back, it's like, okay, who am I going to can I expect to 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 have control over me? Is it going to be a good woman again? And it sees a good woman, but it also sees a bad woman. And the problem is, it it in the past there were only options about only good women options. If I can say it that way. And now for the first time in 200 years, this throne suddenly sees a bad woman. And the problem is that this throne is designed to embrace the woman that rides it. And the problem is this seat is not able to um, it's an institution, and an institution is how do I say this without making it so this seat on July 18, this seat looks at the woman and can't resist, if you could say it that way. You know, the woman was already interested in that seat before July 18, but the seat couldn't see. And on July 18, the seat now sees the woman first time and then realizes she can't resist. She's she thinks that's interesting, or the seat thinks that's an interesting option. And this is where the fornication takes place. This is where you could say, this is where courtship starts. Now they're going to get to know each other a little better. They're going to meet. They're going to walk hand in hand. Or having good conversations like a courtship does. And then at some point in January, it's going to be confirmed. Okay, they jump in bed, and this uh, is a confirmed adultery, so to speak. This is where, uh, let me see. So here you have this time period. So the adultery takes place, or the fornication. The adultery in the heart and in the mind, it starts there. It's initiated by the woman. The woman takes initiative. The man can't resist, or the seed can't resist. And then in January 2025, the real thing takes place. The real adultery takes place. Adultery starts there. the real adultery, if that's a thing, real adultery, but uh,
The
the real
act?
the act, yes. So adultery, the act. Hey, pst, van de tafel, kom. And this here, now we see the seventh kingdom turn into a, moving from a lamb-like beast, from a good kingdom, a head with a good ideology. It starts to flip now into a good seed, but this seed now is going to show interest in this bad woman, and it can't resist. And the woman takes control of that seed on January 2025. And now it has become this, you could say, dragon power. It becomes bad. Um, so this has implications. This has implications, which we're not, for time, not going to discuss all of them. But I think all of what I said now, today, is all can all be derived back from the very first thing that I said and drew out, and that's this one here. If a head is a good thing, that means all other heads are good. So thrones, kings or kingdoms are there to serve the people. Their purpose is to do good. And that means that throne 1 to throne 7 are all good, including the seventh. And to go from a good throne to a bad throne is because of the interaction with the woman. The throne itself is a good institution, but when it starts to interact with the bad woman, it goes from a good throne to a bad throne. The sixth kingdom is a good kingdom from the beginning to the end. The seed doesn't sin. It changes slowly from an unrestrained to, or sorry, from a restrained to an unrestrained seed, but that doesn't make it sinful in the language of Revelation 17. It's of course wrong from the sixth kingdom to do it. There's a problem in the sixth kingdom. I'm not saying that there's not a problem in the sixth kingdom, but it's not the sin of Revelation 17. In the context of Revelation 17, the sixth kingdom doesn't sin. It's always a lamb. The Sunday law, whatever the Sunday law is, the Sunday law is is um, is not the sin of the sixth kingdom. It's the sin of the seventh kingdom. Somebody wanted to say something.
Yeah. Could you go back to that last illustration that you had? Thank you. So the point that you have here, where the seventh kingdom starts as a kingdom of its own, and the sixth kingdom come to an end. Do you have a specific time date? Is that like 2021? Or because we know that, there's a transition, when the seventh kingdom actually starts, like say, for example, 1989, when we see that president starts getting also some power, where you know, so, um, and in 2021, we have Panium, we have also, we can see a coup taking place as far as legal power process is concerned and so forth. So what would you define as the beginning of this seventh kingdom and the sixth end of the sixth?
Yes. So I would mark this as 2021, and we can see this gradual decline. I think you could mark that in the 1998 time period. Let me do this differently. So, am I going to mess up? So I'm going to draw it like this, and I don't want to make it more complicated. Um, I'm not sure if this is the right way to draw it. Maybe,
Arjan, I just want to interrupt. You
yeah.
have 15 minutes, 15 minutes
Okay,
left.
thank you. Yes, thank you. Um, so this seed is getting more power, and it comes to a point here, and I'm suggesting that's 2021, where the agitation of the Sunday Law starts, where we can see that Donald Trump was the last president of the Sixth Kingdom, because that finished here in 2021, and um, we haven't looked at the events taking place in this time period, and I guess that's still something that we or somebody or me or need to do and need to look into what the exact things are that make that throne more powerful. I've suggested 9/11 and the things that happened there, and COVID, but also I think before with the Bush Bush senior, for example, Reagan. There are elements that there are events that change this throne, and I would say 2021 is the turning point of, or the point of no return. And this is also the point where we can see that the woman starts to show interest and say like, okay, I want to have control over this unrestrained seed. That doesn't make this seed completely unrestrained. It's not finished. So this is also why I mark this line all the way to the close of probation. I think we're going to see a more unrestrained seed as we go. And I think when we look at the world now and to that seed and that presidency, it's getting more unrestrained and it just does whatever it wants. And I think we're going to see a demonstration of that more and more in the future. So that's that line that goes down. So this seed is still, it still has, although it's the seventh kingdom, it still has some elements of the sixth kingdom in it. There's still some form of little bit of protection, but it's falling away soon and quickly, all the way to the close of probation. And then at the close of probation, you have this ultimate form of the seventh kingdom, so to speak, where it's 100% unrestrained, so to speak. My words, but simplified words. Let me say it that way. So yeah, I would mark 2021 as the point, and as Annabelle just said, the last president is one study that shows that. I would say the agitation of the Sunday law is another element that shows that there is this time period. There's a point in history where you say this is the point where we can see that the Sunday law is coming. Something has changed. Something is stirring the society that we know Sunday law is coming. So that's, we've marked 2021 as that point. We know January 6th, for example, the things that happened in 2021 in general in the United States, but I guess January 6th as primary event where we look back to and say like, something happened. Um, we reached a point of no return when it comes to America and especially the throne. Um, so Henry, yes, yeah,
Arian,
yeah.
I had a thought about unrestrained power. It seems
Mhm.
to me that when you have unrestrained power, that it can very quickly move into bullying and forcing, which is the character of Satan. And I think it's interesting that God gave those two symbols, the head and the beast, because the head is where reasoning and thinking happen, whereas the beast is a physical power and it doesn't, especially when it's angry and sees a threat, it just moves into power. It doesn't stop to be thinking and reasoning. So I'm associating all those things together.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah, thank you.
Nora, that
Uh,
one saying from way back when, um, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. You know, the fall of, in a sense, empires often are trace that increase of the bullying, oppressing, unrestrained kind of power. So, yes, I agree with your comment.
Just
Thank
another
you.
thought here.
Mhm.
When we're taking a look at the close of probation, then would that be the time when we see an absolute unrestrained power? Because would this also be like the entrance of the eighth kingdom, or how would you look at that?
I don't think there's an entrance of the eighth kingdom, um, but the unrestrainedness of the seed, yes, this line that I just drew here for me illustrates the falling away of the. I know it's a line, but sorry, it's a line that goes downwards, but it shows the growth of the power of that seed. So the fall of the sixth kingdom element, so to speak. That there's no protection to this seed. The protection falls away, and then at the end you just have full unrestrained power. Yeah.
And Ariane, I know we have more yet to learn in respect to close of probation, just what it'll look like, but would you suggest that that would be the point where Satan's kingdom has been fully perfected, as well as uh, God's kingdom, and who's in each?
I think a close of probation also marks the beginning of a new dispensation. So I'm not sure if the close of probation is like, I guess it can get worse after that. Um, but yeah, sure. A close of probation is really the point where, yeah, like I said, there's no break anymore. It's it's unrestrained. You said that's what I forgot what you said about Satan, but that's what Satan wants, or Satan's kingdom is like that. Something you said like that, compared to what God wants. So yeah, you could argue you have Satan's kingdom set up, but God has prepared their kingdom or their church at the same time as well. Yes, I think
Right. And
the closer we get to that point, the more you can see the differences. And I think we as a movement, as we get to that point, we need to not only understand why the seventh kingdom is a bad kingdom, but we also need to understand um, what the good kingdom should look like. I think that is also I think that is a big element of the purpose of what we as a movement need to do and understand, is to um, to understand, and maybe that's something after the close of probation, actually, I think. We're looking at, we're really focused on seventh kingdom now, to know, to understand what it is. What is the evil thing about it? Because we need to understand it, because in eternity, this may never happen again. When we when we live in eternity in the future, we need to protect the seed of the new earth from this downward line. So we should not give that seed too much power. There should only be a good ideology riding that seed, etc. We need to understand all the essence of how you can turn a good seed into something bad, into something evil. And that's why we're studying, I think, this time period, these kingdoms, to understand how a kingdom, how you should not run a kingdom. And then when we pass close of probation, I think for us, then we go to Second Advent. And I think then for us is preparation to understand how we should run a kingdom. So now we learn how we should not run a kingdom. And then, yeah, these are my thoughts.
Do you really think that?
Amen.
Annabelle?
Do you really think that there would be, if we didn't protect that seat in heaven and the new earth, there would be any chance of evil rising up?
That depends on us. There's it's not a programmed thing that it's not never going to happen again. It's not that God is going to program us or something in a way that there will never be an evil rise. There was an evil rise before with Lucifer. Lucifer wanted to have access to that throne. But nobody really could see and recognize why it was wrong what Lucifer wanted. Nobody could really see through, couldn't really see the consequences, couldn't really see why. And well, it took us 6,000 years and the whole universe for us to learn what Lucifer actually wants and why and how. And I think that should be our story in eternity, and the testimony.
It's just a new thought, and I know that we've been developing our thoughts of the reality of the new earth, and so yeah, it just.
Excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt. It's time. The hour and 15 minutes is up.
Okay, we're going to we're going to finish this. Yeah, thank you, Annabelle. I think this is like I said, to finish that, we're not programmed in eternity in a way that the rise of evil will never happen again. I'm sure rise of evil will never happen again, but it's not because of God doing something.
Force.
It's not by force. It's by having a good ideology. So we need to learn. We need to have this ideology that becomes an influence for the throne. We will be kings on the throne with Jesus, right? So we need to have a good ideology. If we have a bad ideology, evil will rise again. So we need to understand what the good ideology is. We need to understand what it is, what that good ideology is, what the good woman is.
I think something Jesus said points to that. And you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. I think that's how sin will never rise again, because we will know the truth.
Yeah, it's an information war. Yeah. Okay. I think I said enough. There's probably a lot more to say. Um, with I yeah, I said enough, and maybe too much as well. I'm sure not everything that I said was as clear as it should have been, but I hope there was something that sticked with you. Um, let's close with a prayer. Dear Lord, we're dealing with complicated issues, many symbolism, lots of symbolism, um, but we want to understand it, and I think that's the most important thing. Maybe we don't understand it fully. Maybe I haven't explained it as clear as I should. But Lord, I pray that there's at least something that sticks with us tonight that we can build upon. I pray that you help us, guide and direct us through the new week as we, or at least I do. The rest of my friends still is in Sabbath. Bless them as they have their Sabbath and enter into a new week later the day. I pray that you guide the Canadian group as a firm group standing in the truth, maybe not so sure, maybe doubting, but let them stand at least. Let them be able to stand together and supporting each other. And we can have our questions until the close of probation, until Second Advent. We can have questions. It's not a problem. But let's stand together and we can answer our questions into eternity. I pray that you guide my friends in Canada, and for those who are able to come to ICM, we'll meet again soon. And for those who are not, we'll hope to meet again soon as well. I pray and we thank you. In Jesus' name, amen.